This isn't you, man. This isn't who you were meant to be. You weren't born to settle like this, and you won't die this way. And if you do, you won't even care because you'll be gone. Best case, you succeed. Worst case, it doesn't matter in the end. There's no real luck in this game, at least not the way people think. Sure, a little luck might come into play, but only after you've worked relentlessly, putting yourself in the right situations. Luck doesn't just show up, you create the chance for it to find you. That's what most people don't realize. If you truly believe in yourself, if there's a small voice inside your head saying, "You've got this, you've got talent, you can do it," then you owe it to yourself to listen to that voice. Forget relying on motivation. Motivation is fleeting. What you need is discipline. Motivation doesn't show up every day. I don't feel motivated most days. Some days, sure, I wake up ready to crush it. I think, yeah, today's the day, let's do this. But on most days, it's just not there. I'll drag myself to the gym begrudgingly, but once I start moving, it gets better. By the end of the workout, I feel great. It's the starting part that's hard. Your body loves comfort, and it'll trick you. Take it easy today. You didn't get enough sleep. Just rest. But that's a trap. The truth is, it's easier than ever to stand out now because most people are too soft. They don't want to push themselves past the limits. Going that extra mile is hard. It's lonely, uncomfortable, even miserable. Quitting, that's the easiest thing in the world. Anyone can say, "I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore." But what's hard is waking up the next day, knowing you gained nothing from yesterday's grind, and still saying, "I'm going to do it again, and I'll go harder." That's where the real challenge lies. Getting up every single day, giving 100%, and staying in the fight even when the progress feels invisible. How badly do you want this? If you want it as much as you want to breathe, then you're ready. But the truth is, most people don't want it that badly. That's why they always ask, "How did you do it? How did you get where you are?" They know the steps, they just don't want to take them. The real test is what you do when you're exhausted. Show me how you push yourself when you're tired. Can you get up again tomorrow? And the next day? Can you keep getting up every single day? No matter how hard it gets? That's what matters. There are no shortcuts. It's you versus you. If you don't get that, you're already in trouble. Wake up and get to work. Start immediately. Most people don't want to do that, and honestly, I get it. But don't complain when you're lying in bed one day, 70 or 80 years old, thinking, "I wish I had done more." That regret will haunt you. Even if your life is comfortable, there will always be an emptiness, a nagging feeling that you could have done something greater but chose not to. I don't feel empty. The life you dream of is waiting, but it's just on the other side of a few tough conversations you've been avoiding. You're stuck in a life you hate because fear holds you back from speaking up or making changes. That thought stays with me a lot. Hard times make tough people. Tough people create easier times. Easy times make people soft. And soft people, they bring back hard times. Right now, we're living in an era surrounded by soft people in hard times. There's a moment in life when a boy realizes no one's coming to save him. That's the moment he grows into a man. Some boys never reach it, they stay children forever. You've got to become a monster, not in a destructive way, but in being ruthlessly ambitious. Then learn to control it. Like the old saying goes, it's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. It doesn't matter how talented you are. Without discipline, you're nothing. Discipline is the foundation. Without it, the smallest challenge will make you give up. I've heard it said that discipline is doing what you hate to do, but doing it like you love it. That's the truth. It's knowing you'll face setbacks, but understanding that feeling bad doesn't mean you're doing bad. It doesn't mean you are bad. And it sure doesn't mean you can't still take action. If nothing changes, nothing changes. It's time to get back to work. Stop talking about it. Turn off the podcast, step away from social media, and cut out the noise. Get back to the grind. One of the strongest mental tools I've leaned on during tough times is reminding myself, this will be the story I'll tell one day. The harder it gets, the bigger the challenge, the more legendary the story will be. The bigger the dragon, the more epic the tale, and by extension, the more epic the hero. The greatest fear isn't failure. It's not reaching your potential, falling short, quitting before the finish line, procrastinating, not doing what you know you should, and then one day you're old. You look back, and the regret hits you. I could have been great. It's time to focus. Forget the clubs, the parties, trying to fit in, or making everyone happy. Why are people calling you antisocial? Because you're putting in the work. Why are you practicing in the hot sun when no one else is? Because you're trying to achieve something. Why aren't you clubbing or hanging out? Because you're locked in on your goals. Here's the truth. The distractions will still be there. The parties, the clubs, even the people, they're not going anywhere. But the more committed you are to your craft, the weirder you'll seem to everyone else. That's because you're dedicating yourself to molding, shaping, and refining your skills. When your moment finally comes, you'll soar. And by then, the same people who once called you weird will applaud your success. People tend to cheer only for those who no longer need it. When you're grinding alone, not quite like your friends but not yet where you want to be, that's when you need support the most. But no one's clapping for you then. Once you've made it, they'll say, "Look how amazing they are." But at that point, you don't need it anymore. That's why you must be the first to cheer for yourself. It's like standing in an empty auditorium, giving yourself a slow clap, just you rooting for you. It's lonely, but that's what it means to walk the path of someone exceptional. Most people struggle to go it alone. The journey of someone exceptional is by definition a lonely one. Instead of resisting it, embrace it. See it as a sign that you're on the right track. If the crowd is with you, cheering you on, it probably means you're not heading toward anything extraordinary. The life you want demands that you step away from what's easy and familiar. You're just like everyone else, and that's not where you want to be. Life isn't fair, not even a little. So what are you going to do about it? I knew no one was coming to save me. No miracle was going to turn me into somebody special. It all comes down to mentality. That's the only thing that keeps us moving forward. I've always been the underdog. In truth, we're all underdogs in some way. Even the toughest person alive should see themselves that way. You should carry an "I've never arrived" mindset, a "can't hurt me" mentality. It doesn't matter where you come from, whether it's the worst place imaginable or just a hard situation. You can overcome it. When I made it out of my version of the sewer, I stood on the road, looked around, and told myself, "Can't hurt me." Nothing should have the power to break you if you truly believe it. And when you believe it, it starts to become real. Be the person who embraces the hard stuff. Be the one who thrives in the ugly, the grind, and the misery. Don't fear pain, and don't run from the sacrifices that might cost you a little blood. Because the day will come, trust me, it comes for everyone. There's a day when being average or mediocre becomes unbearable. It'll make you sick to your stomach. You'll look around and see people who had less talent than you, people you grew up with, becoming something you haven't. And it'll hit you hard. Maybe it happens when you're young, striking out on the baseball field and realizing you can't take another failure. Or maybe it's later, after being fired from your 5th job, when your family is depending on you and you have nothing left to give. That's the moment when being average burns so much you can't stand it anymore. You'll hit a point where you'll refuse to stay the same. You'll get off your ass and make something happen. That drive, that potential, it's always been inside you. You just never wanted to face it because it comes wrapped in pain and commitment. It's uncomfortable. But here's the thing, power follows blame. Wherever you point the blame, you hand over the power. If you say the government's to blame, then they hold the power. If you point at your partner and say it's their fault you're not where you want to be, they've got the power. But when you point the finger at yourself and say, "It's my responsibility," that's when you reclaim control. Even if it's not entirely your fault, it doesn't matter. What matters is what you do next. Maybe you've faced something tough. Maybe you've told yourself you can't achieve something because of your circumstances, like losing a leg or being born into a difficult situation. You could use that as an excuse never to try, or you could find a way. Put on the prosthetic leg, get up, and run the marathon. That fire inside you has always been there, waiting for you to act. It might take something big to ignite it. Maybe it's getting fired, or maybe it's watching someone else achieve the success you know you could have had. But when that spark finally lights, everything changes. You make a promise to yourself, I'm never going to be in this position again. You get up, and even when life knocks you back down, you keep going. You push forward over and over. That's when life starts to feel sweet. It can happen early in life, or it can take years. But when it happens, you'll finally feel alive. That's when it's time to unwrap the potential you've kept buried. You can be great. You can be extraordinary. It's within you, just like it's within every single person. The people who have risen to the top aren't different from you or me. They just believed it was possible, and they worked their asses off to make it real. Greatness isn't reserved for a chosen few. It's meant for anyone who's willing to persistently pursue their dreams, day in and day out, and make that choice to go all in. When you wake up, it's really all about your mentality. Let's be honest, you're lazy, and deep down, you know exactly what to do. You already know, but it's hard. It's hard because doing it sucks. It doesn't matter how much you've improved or changed who you are. It's never permanent. You'll wake up one day and think, man, I'm still me. I'm still dealing with this. Even people who achieve amazing things, who break records and push limits, they still fight their old selves. People ask me, how are you so tough? How do you stay like this? The answer? I never turn it off. If I let it go, even for a moment, I'll go right back to being the person I'm constantly battling. Every single day, it's a choice. That choice makes you different. It makes you misunderstood. It makes you seem crazy. The sun doesn't stop for anyone. No matter how you feel, no matter how bad your day is, the sun is going to rise in the morning. The moon will show up at night. Days will keep moving forward whether you're ready or not. So you've got a decision to make. Are you going to let the days slip by, look back, and realize you wasted a whole year doing nothing? Or are you going to say, all right, I've made mistakes, but life goes on. Let's figure it out from here. That's the kind of person I am. Life goes on. I can't stand those I just can't catch a break types. I avoid them. I don't want that negativity around me. I don't want to hear their excuses. Everyone has bad breaks. I've had more than my share of them. But I didn't sit there feeling sorry for myself. I stayed up. I thought it through. I figured out where I went wrong and went back to try again. I've screwed up more times than I can count. Hundreds of times. That's the only way to grow. Everyone has bad breaks, but those bad breaks aren't the end. They're just chances to reassess, reboot, and improve. They're challenges. And the people who constantly complain, why do I always have these challenges? Those people are dangerous. They're toxic. They'll drain your energy and kill your enthusiasm. They don't give you fuel. They're the opposite of fuel. So ask yourself, do you actually want this? Because if you do, nothing can stop you. Nothing. But if you don't really want it, then just about anything will stop you. Any little obstacle becomes an excuse. It's a reason to quit. So what are you going to do? How bad do you want it? You have two choices. Push forward, climb higher, and make that dream a reality. If you do, you'll live it. It'll be yours forever. But if you stop, if you quit, if you throw in the towel, that dream dies. And once it's gone, you can't get it back. No matter how far you run or how long you search, it'll be gone. And in its place will be regret. Right now, it's up to you. It's your choice. After hearing that inspiring speech about embracing challenges and refusing to quit, I couldn't help but reflect on my own journey. Let me share how I put this mindset into practice. A few years ago, I was stuck in a cycle of self-doubt. I'd start projects with enthusiasm but give up when things got tough. At the time, I blamed my circumstances, limited resources, bad timing, even other people. But deep down, I knew the real problem was me. I was afraid to fail and even more afraid to face the hard work needed to succeed. One day, after yet another failed attempt at launching a business idea, I had a moment of clarity. I realized that blaming everything else was robbing me of the power to change. So, I decided to approach things differently. I started with small, consistent steps. I set a routine, prioritized learning from my mistakes, and pushed through the discomfort of starting over. Every morning, I reminded myself that the sun would rise regardless of how I felt. It was my choice to make those hours count. It wasn't easy. There were nights I stayed up questioning if it was all worth it. But each time I hit a wall, I treated it as an opportunity to reassess and refine my plan. Slowly but surely, I saw progress, not huge leaps, but steady growth. And that taught me the power of persistence. It wasn't about the talent I thought I lacked or the luck I thought I needed. It was about showing up every day, even when I didn't feel like it. What I learned from my experience is simple but powerful. The only person standing between where you are and where you want to be is you. Life will throw challenges, failures, and setbacks your way, but those aren't dead ends. They're turning points. You can either let them define you or use them to grow stronger. If this message resonates with you, if you feel inspired to take that next step toward the life you want, don't wait. Start now. And if you're looking for more insights and motivation to keep pushing forward, subscribe to this channel. Together, we can stay on the path to greatness. Let's keep going.